Hello everyone! Hee Haw was once a warm flame bringing laughter country music and unforgettable characters to millions of families for nearly 30 years. But did you know that many of the show's brightest stars passed away under tragic circumstances, from mysterious cases to sudden and devastating illnesses? Today we'll look back on their legacy, explore the shocking stories behind the scenes, and remember what they left behind for American culture. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss these heartfelt and meaningful stories behind the spotlight. Let's get started. Roy Linwood Clark, born on April 15, 1933, became an indispensable American icon when he began hosting Hee Haw in 1969 at the age of 36. For nearly 3 decades, Roy's radiant smile, banjo in hand, and simple humorous style have been deeply etched in the minds of millions of viewers across the country. However, behind that friendly and optimistic exterior lies a life story full of challenges and unspeakable pain. Roy grew up during the harsh years of the Great Depression, in a poor family where his passion for country music was neither accepted nor supported. In fact, it became a target of ridicule and isolation. These hardships and scorn made him shy and withdrawn, and he found profound comfort only in music, which became the lifeblood and motivation that helped him overcome every obstacle. As Roy's fame grew, he increasingly used laughter as a shield to hide the deep pain inside, so much so that he gradually lost the boundary between his on-stage persona and his true self off-stage. In 1957, a major turning point occurred when he was fired by his mentor, Jimmy Dean, whom he greatly admired, simply because of his habit of being late. This shock not only awakened him, but also deeply wounded his soul. Instead of turning positive, Roy became rebellious, easily irritated and quick-tempered, causing those around him to gradually distance themselves. In silence and loneliness, he turned to alcohol as a way to mute the noise of loneliness and negative emotions. By the late 1980s, his alcoholism led Roy to face serious consequences, leaving him physically and mentally exhausted. He once fainted backstage while the applause still echoed in the theater. His love life was also troubled. His first marriage to Ruby Conley lasted only 3 years, and although his second marriage to Barbara Ruppard endured until his death, it was marked by cold silences caused by fame and Roy's emotional withdrawal. With 5 children, Roy was rarely present in their lives. On November 15, 2018, he passed away at his home in Tulsa due to complications from pneumonia at the age of 85. His estimated $10 million estate could never compensate for the loneliness he carried until his final moments. Veronica Loretta Stoneman, also known as Ronnie Stoneman, was born on May 5, 1938. She was hailed as the First Lady of the Banjo, a talented artist who helped bring the humorous soul to Hee Haw through her character Ida Lee Nagger, the sharp-tongued yet deeply emotional wife who clung to her husband in hilarious and heartbreaking skits, where laughter often hid tears. With a banjo in hand and Southern charm, Ronnie became a voice for the hard-working rural working class, the simple, resilient people. She was the 15th of 23 children born to Pop Stoneman, a legendary music artist. Her childhood was far from sweet. It was chaotic, impoverished, and harshly disciplined. In a family where music meant survival, Ronnie was not allowed a childhood she had to practice endlessly, even to the point of bleeding hands. Her father's ruthless strictness made her feel she had to earn the right to exist. Every smile she brought to her audience came at the cost of memories she wanted to bury, nights going to bed, hungry days with bleeding fingers from relentless practice. After her father passed away in 1968, Ronnie tried to stand on her own 2 feet. But the solo path was never easy. The harsh music industry and lack of support meant she constantly struggled for recognition. Although a familiar icon on Hee Haw, Ronnie Stoneman always lived in the shadow of more famous male colleagues. She was the laughter behind the scenes, an artist always ready to bring joy to the audience, yet quietly and bitterly overlooked by the music industry. Small gigs, meager paychecks, and subtle discrimination in the arts led Ronnie into prolonged mental crises. She once confided, "They pay me with laughter, but life takes away my whole heart." In her later years, Ronnie traveled alongside her sister Donna, the last surviving sibling of the legendary Stoneman family, performing at local fairs. Her health gradually declined, but Ronnie always smiled at her audience, maintaining the charm of the First Lady of the banjo. Few knew that behind the heavy makeup were moments of fainting backstage, and many nights she had to sleep in her car because she couldn't afford even a modest room. Ronnie's later life was far from easy, yet she never gave up on her audience. On February 22, 2024, Ronnie Stoneman passed away at the age of 85. Her estate was estimated at around $1 million, a modest sum for someone who dedicated over 60 years to music and performing arts. But her spiritual legacy, the laughter melodies, and resilience remains priceless. Alvis Edgar "Buck" Owens Jr., born August 12, 1929, was a true icon in American country music. When he began co-hosting Hee Haw in 1969 at age 40, Buck was already a respected name, boasting 21 chart-topping hits and pioneering the revolutionary Bakersfield sound style. Alongside his close friend, Don "Rich" Buck, helped reshape American music. However, behind the spotlight lay a life filled with deep wounds, broken relationships, and a lingering loneliness he never overcame. When Don "Rich" suddenly died in a motorcycle accident in 1974, it was not only the loss of a colleague, but an irreplaceable loss for Buck. He once said, "The day Don died, the music inside me died too." From that moment, his musical inspirations slowly drained away. His recordings lost their vitality. Although Hee Haw continued, Buck became like a shadow running on autopilot, performing without feeling. He grew suspicious and easily angered, causing many colleagues to leave him. Former staff recalled that Buck often threatened others and created a fearful work environment. His love life was also troubled. 4 marriages, 3 divorces, and 1 broken engagement stand as proof of the loneliness in love that Buck never fully understood. His first marriage to Bonnie Owens ended just as his career was taking off. Later, he married violinist Jana J., but filed for annulment just days after. After Hee Haw, Buck shifted to business, buying numerous radio stations and building the Buck Owens Enterprises empire, earning him tens of millions of dollars. However, none of that wealth could bring him back to where he had lost his true heart music. Although the 1988 duet Streets of Bakersfield with Dwight Yoakam was seen by many as an impressive comeback for some, it was like the last flicker of light before darkness fell. On March 25, 2006, Buck Owens passed away in his sleep after performing at the Crystal Palace at the age of 76. He left behind a vast musical legacy and an estimated fortune of $100 million, but what he truly sought, perhaps he never found again. Merle Haggard, born on April 6, 1937, didn't need to play any other role when appearing on Hee Haw in the 1970s. Because he himself was a character, a living icon of country music. His weathered face, sorrowful eyes, and raspy yet deeply emotional voice. Merle didn't need any makeup to make an impression. Each of his songs was a true story, a part of a life full of ups and downs, sometimes so rough it was hard to believe. Merle's childhood was a series of hardships. His father passed away when Merle was only 9 years old, leaving the family struggling. That loss deeply imprinted on his mind. It was the source of his rebellion's stubbornness and also the catalyst for his musical talent to emerge. The loss of his father at the age of 9 shaped much of his life. His mother, overwhelmed with grief and stress, became extremely strict. Merle, in his anger and inability to adapt, began running away from home as a teenager. He fell into a cycle of trouble, petty theft, fighting, and even escaping from a juvenile detention center, a vicious, inescapable loop. Eventually, Merle was convicted and imprisoned at San Quentin Prison, one of the most notorious prisons in America. It was there that he witnessed Johnny Cash performing for the inmates, and that moment ignited the flame of music burning inside him. "When I get out of prison, I'm going to change," Merle promised himself, and he did. Music became his confessional, his healing therapy, and his path to redemption. Songs like Mama Tried Sing Me Back Home and Branded Man are not merely tunes recounting Merle Haggard's pain and rebellion. They are profound hymns of reflection, growth, and wisdom forged through hard and painful times. Merle didn't simply sing about sadness. He elevated that sorrow into art, transforming bitter experiences into a powerful and meaningful source of inspiration for his listeners. However, no matter how far and high his career soared, Merle could never fully escape the demons of his past. He went through 5 marriages, most of which were turbulent, marked by jealousy, betrayal, and emotional distance. Merle also openly admitted to struggling with cocaine addiction, battling severe depression, and at times contemplating death as a way to escape the heavy burdens weighing on his shoulders. Despite winning 3 Grammy Awards and even receiving a full pardon from President Ronald Reagan, he remained a man burdened with the emotional baggage of a life lived on the fringes of society. In his old age, Merle Haggard was diagnosed with lung cancer. Nevertheless, he never stopped performing. Some nights he sang with an oxygen tank hidden under his shirt, just so the audience wouldn't notice. For him, the show must go on, and he poured his heart and soul into every performance, until the very end. On April 6, 2016, on his 79th birthday, Merle Haggard passed away peacefully at his home in California due to complications from pneumonia. At the time of his death, his estimated estate was $40 million, a respectable sum, but it cannot fully reflect the spiritual and artistic legacy he left to America. Are you impressed by Merle Haggard's story? If yes, leave a 2 in the comments below. If not, comment 5. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to support me in bringing more inspiring music stories. David Stringbean Ackerman, born June 17, 1915, was a renowned banjo player and comedian on the Hee Haw show, beloved for his rustic style humor and simple lifestyle. Born into poverty in Kentucky, he became independent at a young age, famously trading 2 chickens for his first banjo and making a living through various jobs. Distrusting banks after the Great Depression, he kept cash hidden at home, a decision that led to tragedy. On the night of November 10, 1973, after a performance at the Grand Ole Opry, he and his wife Estelle were ambushed and shot dead by 2 intruders in their home. Their bodies were discovered the next day by close friend Grandpa Jones. The 2 murderers were convicted, with one serving over 40 years in prison before release. Despite his passing, Stringbean remains a cherished icon in the hearts of American country music fans. Sarah Ophelia Colley Cannon, born on October 25, 1912, captured the hearts of audiences nationwide by becoming Minnie Pearl, the charming country girl with a worn hat still bearing the price tag of $1.98, and her famous greeting, "Howdy, I'm just so proud to be here." In 1969, at the age of 57, she became the soul of Hee Haw and continued to appear regularly until 1991. But behind the laughter were many years of hardship, illness, and quiet loneliness. Before fame, Minnie wandered across the South performing on the smallest stages, serving as an actress, director, and a resilient, solitary woman on her artistic journey. Her first major setback came in the late 1960s, when she allowed her name to be used for a chain of restaurants called Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken. Although she didn't directly manage the business when the chain became embroiled in financial scandals and stock manipulation, Minnie's name was dragged into the controversy, severely damaging her reputation. Minnie fell into depression, living for years with feelings of guilt and betrayal. Her marriage to Henry Cannon, a former fighter pilot manager and life partner, once seemingly strong, began to develop quiet cracks. After decades together, only silence and an invisible distance remained between Minnie Pearl and Henry Cannon. They had no children, and Minnie chose to pour all her heart, time, and energy into the stage. Yet despite the nobility of her dedication, it came at an extremely high personal cost. The greatest tragedy in her life came in the early 1990s when Minnie was diagnosed with breast cancer. Undergoing chemotherapy, radiation, and ultimately a double mastectomy took a severe toll on her both physically and mentally. But with extraordinary resilience, Minnie refused to let the illness defeat her. Instead, she became a symbol of courage, a beacon of inspiration for millions battling cancer. She became the face of a major cancer center, which was later named after her, and expanded across the United States and the United Kingdom. During this time, she lived off a fortune of about $5 million USD, not a huge sum, but enough for her to continue dedicating herself helping and inspiring the community. However, a sudden stroke in June 1991 left Minnie unable to perform anymore. In her final years, Minnie lived in a nursing home in Nashville. She was frequently visited by friends, colleagues, and young artists, but the stage lights had gone out forever. No more laughter, no more howdy greetings, only a woman who once made all of America laugh quietly took her last breath. On March 4th, 1996, Minnie Pearl passed away after another stroke at the age of 83. But for those who ever heard her voice or saw that warm smile on screen, Minnie will forever remain an immortal symbol of simplicity, courage, and a heart always proud to be here. Louis Marshall Grandpa Jones, born on October 20, 1913, became an indispensable part of Hee Haw starting in 1969 when he was 56 years old. With his familiar banjo-enthusiastic shouts of outrageous and lively yodeling, he brought the rustic laughter of the countryside into millions of American homes for over 2 decades. But behind the makeup of the jovial old man was an artist who had faced poverty, mental struggles, and a quiet end. As the youngest of 10 children in a farming family, Grandpa Jones was born into hardship. He learned music from his parents and made his way to local radio stations to earn a living. In the early years of his career, he wandered from town to town, sometimes borrowing money just to get a chance to perform. When World War II broke out, he put music aside to serve in the military. When he returned, his youth had passed. His name was still unknown and finances remained tight. Because of his grumpy face and moody temperament, friends teased him with the nickname Grandpa when he was only 22, and that name stayed with him for life. The brightest moment in his life was his marriage to fellow performer Ramona Riggins, his stage partner and wife for over 30 years. However, even that love wasn't immune to the pressures of illness and financial worries. In his later years, Grandpa Jones became more reclusive and appeared less frequently in public. He faced numerous health issues, high blood pressure, declining vision, and occasional bouts of quiet depression. The greatest tragedy of his life occurred in 1973, when he was the one who discovered the brutally murdered bodies of his close friend Stringbean and his wife. That image haunted him forever. Not only was he a key witness in the case, but he also carried the pain of losing the family he chose. This event made him more silent, tougher, and distanced him from the spotlight. Although he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in January 1998 and had his final performance at the Grand Ole Opry, the stage he cherished most fate did not allow him to fully enjoy his glory. Shortly after that performance, he suffered 2 consecutive strokes, leaving him in critical condition. Archie Campbell, born November 7, 1914 in Bulls Gap, Tennessee, became an irreplaceable figure on Hee Haw, starting in 1969 when he was 55 years old. With his banjo, down-to-earth humor, lively yodeling, and mischievous smile, Archie brought to life the image of a friendly country old man, reviving the spirit of classic country music while making audiences laugh with every sketch. But behind the straw hat and comedy was an artist who endured many ups and downs, poverty in childhood, the pressure to become independent, and the search for his own voice in a fiercely competitive industry. From his youth, Archie was involved with music and performing on Knoxville radio stations. He moved through various radio stations, rural areas, and small stages, sometimes juggling side jobs or borrowing money just to keep his spot on stage. Early struggles taught him resilience and the value of hard work to preserve his art. Throughout his career, Archie was not only the comedian of Hee Haw, but also a writer, actor, and performer of many small comedic skits, such as PFFT, You Was Gone, Rinderella, and That's Bad. That's good, simple yet heartfelt sketches that touch the audience's emotions. Offstage, his personality was quite different from his humorous stage persona. Archie was very private, sometimes reflective, and occasionally withdrew from the spotlight despite his fame. Health issues, the pressures of aging, and changes in the entertainment industry gradually affected him. On August 29, 1987, Archie Campbell passed away in Nashville from a heart attack. He was buried at Glenwood Cemetery in Powell, Tennessee. Lulu Roman, whose real name is Bertha Louise Habel, is one of the most prominent figures of the country, music, and comedy television show Hee Haw. She is well known for her charming and sweet comedic style, as well as her warm country singing voice. Since the early 1970s, Lulu Roman has been a part of Hee Haw and quickly became one of the show's most beloved icons. Throughout her time on Hee Haw, Lulu Roman impressed audiences not only with her delightful comedic talent, but also with her ability to perform heartfelt country songs. She created a relatable, joyful, and memorable presence that brought laughter and happiness to millions of families for nearly 3 decades of the show's broadcast. After the show Hee Haw ended in the early 1990s, Lulu Roman's life went through many challenges. She struggled with addiction to drugs and alcohol, but overcame it through her determination and faith in herself. This was a crucial turning point that helped her change her life and find peace within her soul. Entering a new chapter in her career, Lulu Roman shifted to gospel music and quickly achieved success as a singer. She not only captivated listeners with her heartfelt voice, but also conveyed messages of hope and faith. Her efforts were rewarded with numerous prestigious awards, including a Grammy for Best Gospel Album. Currently, Lulu Roman continues to work in the fields of music and religious media. She is also an inspirational speaker, often sharing her life story about overcoming challenges, conquering addiction, and finding true happiness. Lulu Roman also participates in many country music events and maintains close relationships with longtime fans, becoming a role model of resilience and optimism. Junior Samples, whose real name was Floyd E. Samples, was one of the most beloved comedians on the show Hee Haw. With his simple, down-to-earth, and very country humor style, Junior brought hearty laughter to the audience throughout the many years the show aired. Junior Samples was famous for his comedy sketches centered around rural life simple stories and hilarious awkward situations. He often played the role of an ordinary, naive man who was incredibly funny and endearing. Junior's style made the audience feel close, as if they were watching their own stories unfold on the screen. Besides performing comedy, Junior Samples also took part in musical performances, singing several country songs that were deeply authentic and familiar. He recorded a number of solo albums and was loved by fans for the sincerity and simplicity in each song. After Hee Haw ended, Junior Samples continued to be remembered as a humorous icon of country music. Despite life's many ups and downs, he maintained the warm and joyful style he had on stage. Junior Samples passed away in 1983, but the characters he portrayed and the laughter he brought remain alive in the hearts of Hee Haw fans. Farewell to the stars who have faded away. The artists who once appeared on the Hee Haw show didn't just bring laughter and joy to millions of viewers across America, they left behind an emotional and invaluable artistic legacy. Behind the bright stage lights, beyond the humorous acts and ever-present smiles, lie stories of life's ups and downs, silent pains and quiet loneliness that few have ever known. Do you still remember them? Which name made you eagerly await each episode? What lasting impression did they leave in your childhood memories or unforgettable moments? And when you learn the truths behind their lives, the losses, sacrifices, and shattered dreams, do you feel moved, regretful, or shocked? Let's honor and cherish their contributions by sharing your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this video meaningful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the inspiring and heartfelt stories we will continue to bring you in the future.